Welcome to the show, everybody. You might, for the people joining us on the live show, not for the people on the podcast, but for the people on the live show. PJ's still under the weather, feeling a little ill, so I'm pushing buttons again. Oh man, so it's computer roulette, as I like to call it. Let's do our this day in history for January 12th. Let's start it off. Let's see. In 1888, blizzard brings tragedy to Northwest Plains. Northeast Plains be a little bit different. That involves school children. That involves school children. I should read these ahead of time and decide whether or not that's the way to start a day. That is not the way to start a day. Holy pots and pans. Hey, it's a nice way to end an evening. The Flyers winning 6 of 7. How about that? Travis Konecny has himself a fine evening with a bit of a Hattie, and John Tortorella, I think, gave life advice last night. It wasn't just about Travis Konecny in the game that he had. John Tortorella, I think, I was pondering it. Literally, it was the last thing I thought about before I put my head on the pillow last night, right? And I go, that might be one of my favorite things I've ever heard a coach say. And I'll play it for you a little bit later in the program today. We got a little bit of a firestorm that started yesterday on the old Twitterverse. I was watching ESPN Get Up. I was up. I think I was pouring Lil Toots a little glass of orange juice, right? A little sippy cup of orange juice. And she had on her iPad, I think it was Bluey. And I had on the TV Get Up. I just wanted to hear what was going on in the day. I want to know what's going on with DeMar Hamlin. And if I'm not, sitting there or on my phone, and if I'm doing something else, I always like to have the TV on, the constant feeding of information, as I like to refer to it. And I hear this little exchange with Damian Woody and Chris Canty. And I'm thinking to myself, this is interesting. I wonder if my audience would like to take part in listening to this. So I've clipped it for you, and I also put it out there on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, I didn't think it was breaking news. I just thought it was I thought it was an acknowledgement that I feel defines the art of a hot take. Okay? Because I feel oftentimes that people that don't agree with you, or people that aren't ready to hear what you have to say, will simply dismiss what you have to say as, oh, that's a hot take. You're a hot take artist. You're just doing hot takes, right? And I'm not just saying they say that about me. I'm saying they say that about everything that they're not ready to hear, or everything they don't agree with. That's a hot take. And I feel like hot take has become a dismissive term. I feel a hot take should always be the thing that you might not be ready to hear yet, but it's true. I think Canty dropped a take yesterday that I think is certainly true, but I don't think Damian Woody was really ready to hear it. And it's about Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts. So we'll get to that on today's show. Thomas R. Petersen joins the program today, ladies and gentlemen. He's making his return to the Farzy Show. It'll be his second guest appearance on the show. Always enjoy talking to this man from Denmark. Yeah, that's right. From Denmark, across the old Atlantic Ocean. All right. He loves breaking down the Eagles. If you haven't seen some of his stats, here's one of them. I absolutely love it. Landon Dickerson's second season among guards. Okay. He's first in run blocking at a win rate, meaning he wins those battles at 80%. That's pretty good. And then second in pass blocking win rate, 97%. That is pretty damn good. Oh, and robbed by officiating, 100%. No, it doesn't even make any sense. But anyway, you get what I'm saying here. So I look forward to talking to Thomas R. Petersen about that. Let me just start it off with this, because I don't get a chance to talk a lot of Flyers. It's just, with the Eagles and the Sixers, that seems to be taking over the town. Of course, the Phillies in the World Series. Those are the key teams. And I love Flyers hockey, folks. Let me just say, I just wish more people cared about Flyers hockey. And I love Flyers hockey, okay? I am legit thrilled that after the horrendous 3 months to the start of the season, that they are having a run like they're having right now. Travis Konecny with a 10-game point streak and coming away with the hat trick last night. and really coming into his own over this winning streak. Over this nice stretch. You can't call it a winning streak anymore. 6 and 7 that the Flyers have had is phenomenal. And I've always loved Travis Konecny's attitude. I always love that he's a good interview. That helps people like me out. I've had Claude Giroux. I've interviewed Claude Giroux. I've interviewed Travis Konecny. And those two, through their interview, I've never had players teammates trash talk one another through their interviews. I interviewed a Giroux once, or I interviewed TK one time, and TK was trash talking Claude, and then return was trash talking TK. So they're just fun guys. I enjoy them. And hockey, that's a rarity. That's a rarity. Hockey is where you usually get we worked hard, and hopefully the hard work pays off. Because when you work hard, you want it to pay off. Thank you. All right, that's a piping hot take. Anyway, but I just enjoy his game, and I feel like he always hustles. And I feel like after the game, John Tortorella gave a wildly fair assessment of Travis Konecny. Now, I don't want to paint this as Travis Konecny just had a hat trick and John Tortorella ripped him. That's certainly not the case. He gave his compliments. I want to acknowledge that, so you don't think I'm hot taking you. I thought it was really interesting, but I just want to give this real quick on the Flyers and John Tortorella. Here is John Tortorella talking about Travis Konecny and what he has done this season to get better. Please tell me you got that. Anyone in the comments, just please acknowledge that you could at least hear that. And that would be great for me. Damn it, you can't hear it. PJ. Let me do a little here. This is what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do a little audio check right now. Okay. So you can hear the open. Right? Let's see if you can hear this.
But this is a career-defining.
Why can't I hear Torts? All right, we're gonna try this because I love what he had to say. We're gonna do something just totally, guys. I'm gonna blow your minds. I'm gonna blow your minds by the way I'm gonna work around this with no producer who knows what he's doing. I am the producer who does not know what he's doing, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now. PJ deserves a raise. He absolutely does. He absolutely does. Let's see if this works.
With them also in talking to Danny, they sat down quite a bit as far as playing on the inside. He was on the outside a lot, and his stats weren't there where he wanted them to be. I think he put the time in. I think Danny, as a player, ex-player, helped him and showed him some stuff. But the most important thing, he puts a uniform on and he's got to run with it. I think he's done a really good job.
Oh, there you go. We're figuring things out. Okay, so he's talking about Danny Briere, and I hadn't heard that yet. I hadn't read anything about that yet. That Danny Briere is the one that really got in Travis Konecny's ear and helped him, focus. Helped him learn how to play on the inside. There you hear John Tortorella talking about being a little bit more aggressive, attacking the net as opposed to playing on the outside, more of that traditional wing position, right? So that's great that you have the old players coming in to help out the young players, or the new players, I should say. So that's great right there. Now, this is one of the best things I've heard. And to all the kids out there, this is what I took away from it. EM. What's up, EM? Audio these nuts, Farzy. I love that. We'll make that a t-shirt. And then finally, this is John Tortorella talking about Travis Konecny. And here's what I hear in this. To all the young kids out there, to all the young players, it's okay to make mistakes. You got to keep learning. And you know what? Damn those iPads. Here's Torts after the win. Here we go. We're going to do it.
He screws up a lot, but it doesn't bother him. He just goes out and takes his next shift, and that's a huge attribute for a player. And we took the video. What do you call on the bench? I just lost my train. We took him off the bench. We don't have him on the bench anymore because I just want them worrying about the next shift. And I think it's a major problem with us understanding momentums of the game. You can't understand momentums of a game if you're looking at the iPad all the time. So we took him off. We're not even going to use him so they watch the game and see what's next. TK does that within his game all the time. And he's one of the ones that looks at that damn thing all the time. So I just think he's got the proper mindset that he's not afraid to make a mistake. Like he makes a goofy play at the end of the power play, slapping the puck back to the blue line. We're up by a goal. They're going to go for a shorty. And he one-touches a puck, and it blows up on him, and it's almost a clearing pass. And it's the last thing we want done there. But I have to admit, he's not afraid to do that stuff, and I think that's the proper mindset.
TK needs to be better because he's watching the iPad too much. These damn kids with their iPads and their technology. First, I would assume that the NHL does not have a similar deal to the NFL where it's like, hey, cherish the Microsoft Surface. We've got an advertising deal with Microsoft. Don't rip it. Don't throw it on the ground, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. Be nice to the Surface. Torts coming out there, I know this is not his intent, but anytime I hear someone just say, those damn iPads, we got rid of them. Take them away. You're watching the iPad all the time. It just sounds hilarious. It sounds like me to my daughter, who, for whatever reason, calls her iPad Debbie. I don't know why that is, but she always wants Debbie. If we're taking a car ride, she wants Debbie. But anyway, they got rid of Debbie. John Tortorella did not like the idea that the guys were watching the iPad too much. They weren't paying attention enough to the game in front of them at the moment. And I think he makes a great point. One, about it's okay to make mistakes. All right, you're going to learn. You're going to learn from those mistakes. And the fact that he just flat out says TK does a lot of goofy things on the ice, he does. And it leaves you go, what the hell, man? But he's at least willing to make those mistakes. He's willing to take those chances. But the idea that your nose is in the iPad and not in the game, that is worrisome to me. And I think that's a great call by John Tortorella because I think it makes a great point. How are you keeping track of the momentum of that game? By watching the iPad. You're not keeping track of the momentum of the game. You're keeping track of what the mistake you already made. The moment's already passed. It's not like football where you could go and you could go through the pictures, right? You're not in the game. You're not playing. The defense is out there doing their job. It's not like you're going to jump on and all of a sudden play defense if you're Jalen Hurts, right? So you have that time to look at what happened because guess what? That same type of formation, that same type of defensive call can get called up again. And you want to be able to break that down. But in hockey, man, it's just so fluid. You don't want to be doing that. I think that's a great pickup by the coach. If that's what they did, I'd love to have known. The next question, they don't follow up with it, but I'd love to have known when they took away the iPads and wonder if it was, about 8 games ago. Let's see if that helped. But for all the young kids out there, for all the young kids out there, it's okay to make mistakes and only have your face in the iPad if you're watching this show on the old YouTube there. So there you go. So congratulations to the Flyers on getting their 6-7 win last night. Very nice to see that there. Now this is the interesting thing, all right, that I saw yesterday, and I didn't think this was any breaking news, but I thought Chris Candy made I think he acknowledged a fact more than he gave a take. And they're talking on Get Up yesterday, and he drops this nugget about Dak Prescott. Now, watch Damian Woody's reaction to this. Take a look at this yesterday. This is Chris Canty on Get Up yesterday talking about what Dak Prescott needs to do and what it has to do with Jalen Hurts.
This is a career-defining moment for Dak Prescott. Is he going to ascend to the level of Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes or those guys, or is he going to go the way of Kirk Cousins?
And it is a referendum.
That's the question that we have to figure out.
Why does that face?
Did he say ascend to the level of Jalen Hurts?
He did. Well,
Show money over.
why are you getting up?
Because that's a lot to handle.
He's processing. Let me just sit with
Give me
it.
some space here. Ascend to the Jalen Hurts? Come on.
Look, I think.
Woo! This show is popping this morning. I'll say that.
Here's what I say. give the floor to my esteemed colleague over here from the great state of Virginia. Because before the season started, if you had said Dak needs to ascend to the level of Jalen Hurts, it would have sounded ridiculous. Right now, Jalen Hurts is a legitimate MVP candidate.
It's that right there is the whole point. And I think Greeny did a phenomenal job of summing it up. Right now, Chris Canty's talking about right now. Hey, man, with the way Dak Prescott has played this year, there is no counter argument that makes sense to what Chris Canty said. He was spitting facts as far as I'm concerned. No, it's fact. All right, you're not debating this. There's no debate. Who would you rather have this year, Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts? Whose season would you like to put on your team? Forget about Dak Prescott. I mean, you're talking about Josh Allen. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes. You're talking about Joe Burrow. You're like, Dak isn't even in the conversation. It's not even close. 15 interceptions this year. 15. He's thrown a pick in 7 straight games. He's thrown 3 pick sixes since week 15. Thank you, Josh Sweat. It's unbelievable how terrible. And I like Dak Prescott. I'm the guy. This is true. This is what happened. The year the Eagles drafted Carson Wentz, I did not want them to take a quarterback. That's a true statement. I did not want them to take a quarterback. Not that early. I wanted to continue to build the offensive line. I did not want to draft a quarterback at that spot. Maybe trade for more picks. It might have been the only year where I actually thought I wouldn't be that bad if they traded for more picks. I thought they had way too much work to do, especially after the Chip Kelly era. I wanted them to take a flyer, maybe later in the draft, on this guy out of Mississippi State named Dak Prescott. See what he can do. Of course, he ends up going to the Cowboys, so I have to hate him and think he sucks all the time. But in all seriousness, I liked his game. And I thought, you know what, that's an okay investment right there at that spot. I don't want to go high in the draft. I like Dak Prescott. Rest is history. So as someone that has admired Dak Prescott since his time at Mississippi State, right now, you're not looking at him as a guy that's going to have a better career than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, this year, factually speaking, is a much better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Much better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Do you want to talk about over the span of a career? Well, yeah, then Jalen Hurts still has to, show consistency and go out there and make sure his team can get to the playoffs and win in the playoffs. And Dak has 1 playoff win. So Jalen Hurts wins a week from Saturday or Sunday, and all of a sudden he's got as many playoff wins as Dak Prescott. That'd be pretty damn impressive, and there'd be no room for argument in any other way. But this year, factually speaking, Jalen Hurts has been far and away the better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I think with Damian Woody, he just hadn't heard it put like that quite yet. And that's why when he made this face right here, it's settling into his brain. And that's why when he got up from the desk and he was like, let me just let this soak in for a second. I need to ruminate on this for a second. Is that there? And you come away with the conclusion like, damn, yeah, that's right. It might not hit the ear right at first. You might think, oh, piping hot take. But Dak Prescott has not even been close to the level of play that Jalen Hurts has been at this year. Not even close. Oh, and by the way, what did Dallas's team do when they didn't have Dak? Oh, did they win? Oh, wow, that's something. What did the Eagles do without Jalen Hurts? Oh, did they lose? Oh, wow, how do you like that? Dallas lost 1 game. Yes, it was to the Eagles with Cooper Rush as their quarterback. I don't even think it's a question. I don't even think it's a debate. I thought when I heard it, I went, oh, I like how I put that. And then to see Woody's reaction, I went, yeah, dude, it's not that, really? It's not that hard to, why is this complicated for you? But I do love the conversation that it started on Twitter yesterday. I do appreciate everyone that did happen to check it out because it certainly made its rounds on the old social media yesterday. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. People are actually commenting on that still. God bless them. Anyway, my caption for it, if you're looking for it, it's on my timeline. When you literally can't handle the truth, Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. Good times. I'm still breaking down the 4 opponents the Eagles could play over the weekend. And I can't help it. I still want the Dallas Cowboys. I still want that matchup head to head. The other idea in all of it is that Dak loses to Tom Brady in Tampa. Tom Brady is 7-0 against the Dallas Cowboys in his career. He's 7-0. It's his best record. Now, he's played other teams more and beat them more, but in terms of perfect records, he's got a 6-0 record. I forget who that's against. I remember looking at his stats the other day. And in 7-0 against the Dallas Cowboys. It's the best undefeated record he has against any team in the NFL. Most recently, over the last 2 years, this matchup has become a marquee matchup in the NFL. Brady versus really not even Dak, but the Cowboys. Oh, wait, I can get Tom Brady to take on the Dallas Cowboys, a team that everyone has an emotion against, love or hate, no in between. There's no one that's like, well, I kind of like the Cowboys. I like what they do. I like what they do. But I'm not a Cowboys fan. Like, nobody says that. You either love them or hate them. But with Tom Brady and this whole thing, it's become a little bit of a marquee matchup in the NFL. When the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, the following year, who'd they kick off the NFL season with on that Thursday night? It was the Dallas Cowboys. This year, to start off the Sunday Night Football schedule, who did they kick off against? They kicked off against the Dallas Cowboys, Bucs and Cowboys, yet again. And now it's just fate would have it. Here we are in the playoffs, and those two teams are kicking off against one another once again. Buccaneers are the only sub-500 playoff team out there, the only sub-500 division winner out there that is in the playoffs. And here we are with them taking on the Cowboys again. And Tom Brady looking to improve, including the playoffs, obviously, 8-0 against the Dallas Cowboys. There is a charm to knowing that the Cowboys were one and done. And there is certainly a charm that Mike McCarthy, a guy I've never been a big fan of, I was always more along the lines of, yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers doing things there in Green Bay more than it is Mike McCarthy. But Mike McCarthy was 12-5 last year with the Cowboys, 12-5 again, back-to-back 12-5 seasons. Early exit last year. If you remember, Dak in the playoffs he scrambled 17 yards. They couldn't line up in time, and the clock ran out on the Cowboys. That's a shame. So they didn't win a playoff game. They lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this time around, you have another opportunity to win a playoff game. Dak's trying to win a second. There is a sweetness to the idea that he just can't win in the playoffs. So if that happens, then I root for option B, which is Tom Brady and Todd Bowles come north to Philadelphia, and Todd Bowles' defense can see whether or not Jalen Hurts really did learn how to read a defense. And as I said, I want them to be, I feel like that would be a great redemption story for Jalen Hurts. Before I get to our guest today, Thomas R. Petersen, I hope you guys are following on social media. I do want to tell you about my man, Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, where you get treated like a real family member at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. You don't have to worry about a sale either. You know why? Because they got the perfect price. You know the saying, I hate Steven Singer? It's all over billboards, people. You see it all the time. You know who hates Steven Singer? Other jewelers hate Steven Singer. You know why? Because he offers that perfect price. While other jewelers are marking things way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks in front of you and make you feel, you're a good negotiator. Oh, you know what? I just like you. No. You don't have to worry about that pressure. Don't have to worry about that. Because at Steven Singer, you get the perfect price each and every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, I don't know how this is going to go, folks. I got to run the interview. I don't know what I'm doing here. All right, let me get rid of that. All right. Everybody hold on tight. Joining us on the Roth Orthopedics guest line. Well, I think I set it up all right here. Here's our friend Thomas R. Petersen. Hope you guys enjoy the interview. Mark. Yeah, that's not in the United States, people. All right, let's broaden our horizons. Our friend Thomas Petersen is joining us. Thomas, how you doing, my friend?
What's up? Yeah, I'm glad to be back. It was a blast last time, so was excited when you shot me a message, and of course I want to come back on.
Oh, of course, but you know what? If you're an Eagles fan and you're not following Thomas, by all means, do yourself a favor, find him on Twitter. I just showed you his handle, and follow this man. The guy comes away with dimes, with brilliance, and you are an actual doctor, a medical doctor who just really likes the Eagles. And I like to call you a Twitter analyst of the Philadelphia Eagles. Is that fair?
Yeah, you can. I mean, I guess you can call the medical doctor like the part-time gig that I run around doing, and I try to cover the Eagles as much as I can.
You dabble in medicine. But I do want to get you on. First off, just your reaction to the end of this season, the way the Eagles ended it, Jalen Hurts with the injury and all that stuff, and then we'll get into some of the things that you broke down on Twitter for the good Eagles fans out there. But your takeaway from this really unprecedented Eagles season.
Yeah, I guess, like, I think we talked last time. Had they played like 4 or 5 games the last time?
Played a handful of games, yeah.
Super riding high and everything working in their favor. We were talking about, I think, stat projections at that point, and it turns out that I think even the stat projections we brought up back then, Mark, kind of actually hit for both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Remember that? And we talked about like how crazy it would be that both of those guys would actually kind of hit their projections. And it actually sort of happened. So that's crazy. New times.
Yeah, we were talking about 1,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard rushers. Jalen Hurts' numbers along with them as well was incredible.
Exactly, and that turned out to be exactly what happened. But we also talked about the fact that it wasn't going to be all sunshine throughout the entire season. Like there's going to be bumps in the road. It just turned out that those bumps kind of came like very late. The last, like the surge of injuries that kind of happened, Lane Johnson, Avonte Maddox, C.J. Gardner-Johnson with his kidney laceration, and what else we got there? Jalen Hurts, obviously his shoulder. So they got kind of injury riddled all the way up there. I think the Bears game was kind of ugly, but then like ever since the Bears game, it's kind of been a struggle more or less in the games they played. And of course, when Jalen Hurts got injured there, I think we're all kind of holding our breath as to what that was all about. I don't even know who it was, but whoever, like there was a broken collarbone rumor going on for a couple of hours before actually something came out. I think everybody was thinking he looked fine in the game where he was even injured. He also looked fine in the game here against the Giants, but it was obvious, it was clear and obvious the way that they were trying to protect him. And I really hope that was more a risk assessment and not trying to get him further injured more than it was the fact like how badly he was actually hurting in the time that he was off. And I think they spoke of that he didn't throw until very late in December. So naturally there was some things to get into the groove there. But I think like everybody, I wasn't expecting the offensive implosion that happened against the Saints. And I think we really got a look at firsthand of how this offense, like we joked about a little bit about how Jalen Hurts was the system after this whole Micah Parsons thing, right? But I really think we got to see what it actually looks like without a guy of Jalen Hurts' caliber, both as a runner, as a passer, and the fact that he just bails out coaches and fellow players when they f up.
You had highlighted a couple of great things on social media that I want to go at right now, and that's one of them's Landon Dickerson, and this is the type of stuff that you provide to good people on Twitter here. Just talking about Landon Dickerson in his second season among guards, first in run block with a win rate of 80%, second in pass block with a win rate of 97%. His maturity is like, for a guard, it's right on par with what Jalen Hurts has done this year. For a quarterback, what he has done at the guard position has been equally as impressive from an offensive lineman.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, he's always been in that big, like the fridge. I think that was kind of the term that was being thrown around when he was drafted. Like he's always provided these highlight type of plays from an offensive lineman where he's simply just smothering people, like pancaking dudes left and right. But the problem in his first season, or the thing that he had to kind of adjust to in the NFL, was how to, like, how fast things are moving and how quickly you want to move your feet. And that kind of left him in situations where he was getting beat on inside games from the defensive line, like not picking up quick enough with Jason Kelce. And he really got after that this year. It's been much more consistent. Like, you still get the 1 to 5 pancakes per game. But you just see more consistency with his play, and that's also, like, that's reflected in especially the pass block win rate, which is a massive bump up from last season from him. So really for him, it's more a matter of being consistent and not just going for the big hits all the time. And I can imagine that's something that that Stoutland has been in his ear about ever since he got drafted, is that you're not in the college football league anymore. You're not at Alabama anymore. You can't rely on being better than everybody else all the time. You have to be consistent, and then you can be nasty on top of that. But it can't be the other way around, where you're just nasty, but you're not consistent with it, because then you're going to get beaten. It's going to ultimately just affect the entire offensive line. Yeah.
He has had 2 penalties, I'll say. Not that he committed, but at least 2 penalties that were called on him that negated touchdowns towards the end of the season. One was a Kenny Gainwell touchdown, and then the other, that was against the Saints, that would have changed the outcome of that game. And then would have been that knockout punch against the Giants in the last game of the season, had an illegal man downfield penalty called on him. Now, probably letter of the law, right call. However, it had nothing to do with the play.
Had nothing to do with the play. Didn't even engage in anybody, and it was from the 2-yard line, and he was at the goal line. So he was literally just at the marker where it's a where it's a call that you can make.
Right.
And that's the debatable one. The Saints holding was, I mean, it was the worst out.
It was atrocious.
It was. There were people saying that it might have been on Mailata. And I was like, oh, that will make sense, because then, like, they got the wrong guy, because he was.
There was a little hold. Mailata had a little hold, but
he had a little hold, but
Mailata also said after the game that he went up to the official and said, "I think you have the wrong number." And the official was like, "No, we got that call right. I went up and I talked to Landon and told him you can't do that." And it's like, what are you watching? Anyway,
actually, the same thing. Just to take our Eagles hat off for a moment, the same thing happening is when Eagles played the Packers. They also had one with Javon Hargrave, got absolutely smothered. That was called for a hold as well. Exact same situation, but we're not going to talk about it as much.
No.
They took a touchdown off the board for the Packers. I mean, they scored in the very next play, but I mean, they took a touchdown off from their board, and it's just like you just see a bunch of these calls in the NFL where you have offensive linemen simply like decleating defensive linemen, and they call it holding because they're tripping.
Yeah, I think that was that last year. I think that was last year.
This year. It was this year.
Okay, yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. One other one that you pointed out here, which I love, as a guy that went to Temple University, the same school as Hassan Reddick, amongst all pass rushers, first in forced turnovers with 5, second in sacks with 16, second in pass rush win rate at 28%, and 6th in total pressures with 62. I mean, that's not a bad season right there for the Temple grad.
No, not a bad season, and the thing that stands out with Hassan Reddick is really the consistency element of his game, because he didn't rack up all his sacks in one game against a bad team. I mean, he consistently, and every week, just simply, like, he puts up 25% pass rush win rate in basically every game he plays. I think the last 5 weeks I've done cut ups of like 8+ plays where he simply just beats the guy he's in front of. He's got the speed to pull off the games that they're running. So we're basically where they got the defensive tackle and the outside linebacker in Hassan Reddick. They're doing the games where he first goes upfield and then goes inside. Same with Josh Sweat. Like, those guys really have the speed to pull that off. And really his consistency week in, week out is why, like, to begin with, we're kind of talking about him as a dark horse defensive player of the year candidate, obviously, because we're Eagles fans, we were super biased, but it's just like the stats are just simply there in terms of, like, he's a legitimate all-pro. He's a first-team all-pro player this year. If he wasn't in the same conference as Nick Bosa, he's overtaken Micah Parsons and the and the consistency, especially from that element of Micah Parsons. Whereas Micah was dominant in the beginning of the season, he's kind of disappeared throughout multiple games here at the end of the season. Hassan Reddick has just consistently kept up the tempo of racking up sacks and big plays. And I think it wasn't until week 12 where each and every one of his sacks that he contributed to were on third down, fourth down, or resulted in a turnover. So it's like it's not scheme sacks, it's drive killing sacks by one player, and it's a phenomenal acquisition by Howard Roseman. And he's on, like, this is his first year on his deal. He's 28. It's looking good.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask this of Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. All right, now Gannon I think has had a lot of help this year because Howie Roseman really bolstered his defense. As we know, we just talked about Hassan Reddick. They also brought in Vic Fangio as this like defensive advisor. So Shane Steichen has obviously had help as well with Jalen Hurts playing an MVP type caliber role. Obviously, his head coach is an offensive-minded head coach, in Nick Sirianni. Who do you think of the two makes the better head coach if one of them does get a job as a head coach after interviews?
I mean, I don't know if I know exactly how much about what head coaches need to do, like because obviously their role is so much bigger than calling plays.
Sure.
So much bigger than like scheming up a certain situation. I think Jonathan Gannon has the charisma of a guy that, like, I think ever since like he started last year, I think he's always been penciling as the guy, like, yep, that guy's going to be head coach someday, simply because of the way that he has the way he has with the media, and like he always says the right things, and now he's got the numbers to prove it with how the Eagles defense is playing. This kind of the same would go with Shane Steichen, I guess. I think if I was to play the game of who's being bailed out more, like you were kind of hinting at there with the talent acquisition on defense, versus Jalen Hurts and really his improvement this year, I think I would go with, like, Shane Steichen is probably being bailed out the most, because when he's calling RPOs, he always has the constant threat of Jalen Hurts, and he's the best in the league at doing what he does. Of the combination of being smart with the football, continuing drives that should have been killed on third down, and in a punch situation, he magically picks up those first downs and moves the chains, keeps the defense on the off the field. I just think it can't be ignored how important Jalen Hurts is. And of course, there's going to be plays where he like every other quarterback, where he misses a guy downfield or doesn't make a throw that is in front of him, but he usually compensates by picking up a first down himself. Mm-hmm. So like, you're not really losing anything.
That's interesting. I like that bailout rate. Who has a higher bailout rate? I like that. Well, that'll be a stat for next year, I guess. You mentioned Jalen Hurts there and that whole bailout thing and what he's able to do, and you're absolutely right. Did you see, and I played this earlier for my audience, and I'll play it for you, and I know at the time we taped this, it's 6 p.m. It's 12:15 here in the States in Philadelphia. At the time we taped this for you in Denmark, 6 hours ahead at 6:15. I just mansplained the crap out of that for my audience. Sorry. But Damian Woody on Get Up, ESPN, put this in the world. I believe it was Canty was actually breaking this down for the audience at home. Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. And really it comes down to Dak Prescott, what he needs to do. And Dak, for the record, has played terrible toward down the stretch for the Cowboys. He's had leads the league in interceptions and all that. But this is Canty on Dak Prescott and what he needs to do if the Cowboys are going to win their round one against the Bucs. Take a look at this.
But this is a career-defining moment for Dak Prescott. Is he going to ascend to the level of Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes or those guys, or is he going to go the way of Kirk Cousins?
And it is a referendum.
That's the question that we have to figure out.
Why does that face?
Did he say ascend to the level of Jalen Hurts?
He did. Well,
Yeah. Show money over.
why are you getting up?
Because that's a lot to handle.
He's processing. He's processing.
Let
me just sit with
give me
it.
some space here. Ascend to the Jalen Hurts level?
Yeah, look, I think.
Woo! This show is popping this morning. I'll say that.
So you get the idea. Now, I'll just say this. In Damian Woody's, I don't even want to say defense, I think he just needed to reboot. Like, he just hadn't heard it put like that yet. Although true, just hadn't heard it put like that quite yet. But when he makes this face right here, that's like, I don't know if he fully comprehended what happened there. What was your take on that little back and forth?
Talking about a level this year, I mean,
Yeah.
sure, because you're talking about two different situations for the quarterbacks, where you have Jalen Hurts, who is obviously the major driving factor in the success of the Eagles, and how they're like, what are they, 14-1 with Jalen Hurts starting games, whereas you have Dak Prescott, who if you're watching all the games they play and watch every throw from Dak Prescott, you're still gonna see a guy who's accurate with the football, and who still makes plays and has the offense pretty much rolling by making good decisions and good choices. But then you have the turnovers that are quite literally killing them in games and making sure that they're losing some of these matchup that they very clearly should be winning. Packers game, for one, where they're up 3 touchdowns and they end up losing the game in overtime. And lately with the Jaguars game as well, the kind of it was a stomach punch for them as well.
Yeah, sure.
So in that sense, I think it's kind of true for this year. I think we can't, even as an Eagles fan, you can't deny how Dak Prescott has been literally carrying the Cowboys for like ever since basically he got there. Right. And despite not being able to reach like a win in the conference finals, they're still relevant every year. But yeah, the turnovers are a worrying for Dak Prescott, especially considering how many games he's missed and that he's still leading the league in interceptions and still leading the league. He's not leading. He's among the top 10 in turnover-worthy plays as well, which like includes like dropped interceptions and all this kind of thing. So I think worded kind of poorly, but I think the idea is there, that in the way that you want your quarterback to ascend to the level of where he is the driving force of your team winning and not being a liability when you have that many weapons around you and have that good of a defense that the Cowboys have had this year. Because now they're struggling a little bit more in defense when they're losing guys in their secondary. Micah Parsons not being the same dominant guy that he was in the beginning of the year. Leighton Vander Esch in and out with some injuries there. So they need him to ascend to a level of where he is the guy winning games for them. So I think there's some logic to it, but it kind of was like maybe worded a little bit, came out a little bit funny.
I understand. It's still just it was music to my ears, and then just see David Woody respond the way he did. I thought it was hilarious. Last thing for you: do you have a team of the 4 the Eagles could face in the divisional round that you would like to see the Eagles face?
Seahawks. I'd love to see a Geno Smith, Jalen Hurts matchup.
Ooh,
they've been kind of back and like they've been following along each other most of the way, and then Geno kind of fell off late in the season in terms of his play, whereas and Jalen got injured there. So I'd like to see the matchup between those two. I think they're two of the most improved players in the entire league this year, and I'd like to see that matchup.
Fair enough. Can the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
There we go. That's all I needed to hear. Thomas Petersen, if you guys aren't following, do yourself a favor. Get all the great stats, all the great Eagles analysis by following Thomas R. Petersen. Thomas, great catching up with you, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thanks again for being on. It was a pleasure as always.
Did it happen? Did an interview just happen? I don't know. I'm pushing the buttons. Really enjoyed talking to that guy. A medical doctor who dabbles from Denmark in Philadelphia Eagles affairs. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Let me tell you about the people at Manscaped, manscaped.com. And how about the other thing? So, I mean, you would assume that someone who has I think he's tied right now, 15 interceptions, most in the NFL. You would assume someone with 15 interceptions or someone leading the league in interceptions, you would assume that they would have the most turnover plays. But yeah, he is up there as well in that category for like risky throws, essentially dropped interceptions, things like that. So I think that's also interesting. But my thanks to Thomas Petersen for joining the show right there. Let me tell you about Manscaped, the leader in below the waist grooming. Manscaped.com. You get 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. So go to manscaped.com right now and enjoy their Platinum Package 4.0. It includes their 4.0 lawnmower, as well as their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And they both come with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Do you like CBD? Do you use CBD? You want to try CBD? You want to switch up your CBD? Try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll enjoy their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So go to FreestoneFarmCBD.com and use promo code Farzy for 20% off. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check, ladies and gentlemen. Where? Oh, here's the one benefit of me doing the thing here. I can do the production here. April! Good morning, April. Mihai. What's up, Mihai? Mark, everyone. I won't doubt Hurts. Good. I'm concerned about Lane Johnson and if he should be play given the long-term effects. How about those Flyers? Play to win, not tank. Tell that to the Texans. Hey-o. Yeah, the Lane Johnson thing is interesting as far as his injury goes because you never want to see somebody make an injury worse. So it is a sticky situation. But I think most athletes, especially guys that are built like Lane, that have played through a lot of different injuries in his career or in their career, if they have an opportunity to get back to a Super Bowl, if they have an opportunity to win a playoff game, if they have an opportunity to put themselves in the next round, they're going to do it. Lane, I don't think is going to be playing for many more years, and it's like the in a much lighter sense because it's not life and death. In a much later sense, you think of the line from Braveheart about, are you willing to trade all the days from this day to that just for a chance at freedom? Like, are you willing to trade all the days from now to the end of your career, which Lane, I don't think has that many left anyway, to have another chance at winning the Super Bowl? I mean, look, you got a lot of players you got to re-sign at the end of this year. Yes, Jalen Hurts will be the constant. He is the quarterback. He's the MVP candidate. I get it. But this roster is one hell of a roster. And Howie Rose was really going to have his work cut out for him to re-sign these guys and make sure that they can get as close to running it back with this squad as possible. So I think Lane is looking at it like, hey, man, I've got a Super Bowl. I want to get another one. Now might be the time. I'm going to play through whatever I can. That's what I think his mindset is. And, yeah, as far as the Flyers, hell yeah, man. April, I'm definitely worried about Lane, but they are absolutely a different team with him in there. Certainly, totally agree. Kevin, good morning, Kevin. What's going on? April, shout out to PJ. Get well soon, PJ. Fuji! Happy Thursday to you, buddy. What do we have here from T-Bro? What's up, T-Bro? Happy Football Thursday, everybody. Currently driving to Costco to fill the old Suburban. Wow. T-Bro. I might have to change the name of my car now. That's pretty clutch. I like that. Got to fill a Suburban for the wife. Now that kind. Well, hold on a second. Fill it. The Suburban for the wife. All right. Now I'm not saying you shouldn't do that for your wife, but I'm just saying to throw the old bro term on there. But I get it, T-Bro. I got you. Question: is Jalen Hurts really hurt, or are we sandbagging this? He's really hurt. That is I think I've illustrated that throughout the week. That's my take on the situation. The fact that he didn't play for 2 games And I thought the injury wasn't that bad. And watching him play in that fourth quarter against the Bears, watching him after he hurt his shoulder, how well he played. Jason Kelsey, when he was asked about the series, like he wasn't laughing at the injury, but I think he was laughing at the idea of like nothing. Oh, you think something could keep Jalen Hurts off the field? And then something kept Jalen Hurts off the field. And I keep going back to what Nick Sirianni said about his brother and how his brother was blown away by how Jalen Hurts could play through this injury. At least for the rest of that Chicago Bears game. And then it comes out of the broadcast. Like all the evidence is there to show you this is a more serious injury than originally anticipated. So yes, I think that it's legit that he was really hurt. T-Bro, hot take or hot cakes? I'll take both. EM, you were the one telling me you couldn't hear. God bless you. Thank you so much. Literally saying can't hear. April, no sound. Thank you. Raheem Gordon. What's up, Raheem? Nope. Great muted clip. Thank you, T-Bro. April, PJ deserves a raise. Here's Audio D's nuts. EM, I think I delivered that perfectly. T-Bro, what? Those penguins and peacocks? Oh, that's funny. You have to really be a Farsi Show insider there to get that. Beep. EM, Debbie is a talking iPad on kids' YouTube. Wait a minute. Is that true? Debbie is a talking iPad on kids' YouTube? I'm going to have to check that out. Facts, Raheem says, and I wasn't a fan last year, far as I think that's of Jalen Hurts. Dak throwing interceptions all over the place. Yes, April, thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yep. Jalen Hurts definitely better than Dak, says Sean. Hopefully will always remain true. Let's hope for that. No question about that. Sean, okay, this is interesting. I love Jerry Jones. I wish he would be even more active in the Cowboys' decision making. Says an Eagles fan. Charles Atterley. Charles Atterley, how are you? Good morning. Watching from Nassau, the Bahamas. Flyers, Eagles. The Sixers, Flyers, Eagles flying all the cylinders. City of brotherly love. Thank you, Charles Atterley. Beep. Everyone's having fun. Oh, good job, Far. That must be for me running the interview. Sean as well. Thank you, guys. True Savage. What's up, True Savage? My guy breaking down the birds. Thomas is great, isn't he? Zach, good morning, everybody. That's cool. Wait. EM, pick up some mashed potatoes while you're at Costco. Raheem, what's up, brother? My man, pots and pans. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Appreciate the chat check as always. You guys are fantastic. Let's get to the morning rush. Brought to by Sky Motor Cars, SkyMotorCars.com. Couple of little nuggets for you in the what do I call this, John? That I like to do here. This thing that I like to do here. The morning rush. Joel Embiid had that epic night 2 nights ago now against the Detroit Pistons. I failed to mention this on yesterday's show, but it's a historic note. I feel like we should mention it. Joel Embiid played 23 minutes and 56 seconds in the 76ers win over the Pistons on Tuesday night, finished with 36 points and 11 rebounds. That's the fewest minutes played by any player in a 35-point, 10-rebound game since the NBA began tracking minutes played in the 1951 to 52 season. What? That's a nice day. That's from ESPN Stats and Inc. This other one, I'm going to see if I can get Jeff on the show tomorrow. Jeff Kerr of the JK Media channel, as well as JK Media YouTube channel, as well as CBSSports.com. This comes from him. Eagles have possessed the number 1 seed in the NFC 5 times since divisional realignment in 2002. So 20 years ago, no other team in the NFC has had the number 1 seed more than 3 times in that span. So over the last 20 years, the Eagles have had the number one spot 5 times. No other team has had it more than 3. Stat worth noting. 76ers back in action tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder, going for their 3rd win in a row. 7 o'clock tip-off in South Philadelphia tonight. Look forward to that. And the let's see. Oh, Jalen Hurts speaks today. He'll address the media. So look forward to seeing what he has to say about how he's feeling. And then the Flyers are back at it right against the Capitals again in 2 nights. That one will be in D.C. Flyers, of course, won yesterday 5-3. Just one last time while we're all gathered here. Just one more time. Right there. For the people on the podcast, I'm yet again showing the photo of Damian Woody. Looking at the camera like Jim Halpert. That's what she said. Like that right there. By the way, if you don't watch Jim Halpert in Jack Ryan, oh, man, that's a fun program. That's a fun program. Yes, his name's John Krasinski. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by my man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Yes, continued health to our man PJ. I know you guys miss him. Imagine how I feel. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you guys tomorrow. If you're walking around Center City today, between 11:30 and 1, I'll be at the Comcast Center, the Comcast Tower, along with the Philadelphia Wings lacrosse team, who I'll be doing the public address announcing for this season. I'll be returning for my 2nd season with the Philadelphia Wings. Can't be more excited about that. They'll have all sorts of fun stuff going on. And there you go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you guys tomorrow. This has been the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Have a great day.